Hi, I'm Brett Johnson, former United States Most Wanted cybercriminal, now good guy, and host of The Brett Johnson Show. Today, it's time for a Cybercrime 101 short. The subject, the 3 necessities of cybercrime. All right, so Brett Johnson, Cybercrime 101, subject, the 3 necessities of cybercrime. Here's what you need to know. For online crime to be successful, for a crook to be able to get away and be profitable, 3 things have to be able to take place. You have to be able to gather data, you have to commit a crime, and then finally, you have to be able to cash that crime out. All 3 of those necessities have to work in conjunction. If they don't, the crime fails. Why even try? The problem with that is that a single criminal, one guy, can't do all 3 things. He can do 1, sometimes 2, but rarely can he do all 3. So he has to network. He has to rely on other criminals who are good in those areas where he, sometimes she, is not. And that is why you see the dark web and the surface web groups, the marketplaces, Wicker, Telegram, Discord, all these channels, they exist primarily so that criminals can network with each other to find success. Now, when I talk about gathering data, what do I mean by that? Well, that's the stolen PII. That's your credit card information. That's your driver's license numbers, your background checks, your fulls, your complete identity profiles. It's your passwords. It's also any type of tool that may be needed to help commit or facilitate that crime. So we're talking about spoofed phone calls. We're talking about SOC spy proxies. We're talking about any type of information and tool that is needed so that then the next step can come around of committing the crime. Once the crime is committed, how do you cash that crime out? Understanding that it's not always money that a criminal is looking for. Sometimes a criminal is looking for information, access, or data. They're always looking for one or a combination of those 4 things: information, access, data, cash. Now, there's actually a couple of reasons why a criminal, one single attacker, can't do all 3 necessities. The first is a problem with skills. There's a skill gap. That specific criminal may not know how to do something. Maybe launch a man-in-the-middle attack. Maybe launch a phishing campaign, steal credit card data, steal PII, whatever that is. Or maybe they can do that, but someone else is better at it than they are. So they rely on the marketplaces to fulfill that necessity. The second reason is a problem with geographic location. The criminal simply is in an area where they cannot fulfill one of those 3 necessities, typically cashing out, laundering money. So they rely on money mules or someone to do that for them. And I'll give you an example. So during the pandemic, we had a lot, and I mean a lot, of unemployment fraud. California gets hit with billions of dollars in fraud. Arizona gets hit with, $30 billion in fraud. Every state lost billions of dollars to cyber criminals hitting the unemployment system. So those 3 necessities, gathering the data, well, the data was already there because everyone's information is widely available. There was absolutely no security in place whatsoever, so it was very easy to commit the crime. But a lot of those criminals were not in the United States. A lot of those criminals were in the Ukraine, they were in Russia, they were in the EU, they were in the UK, they were down in South America and Africa. They were all over the place. So they had the data. It was easy enough to commit the crime, but here's the issue. Yes, if you're a criminal over in the Ukraine, you can file unemployment claims all day long for the state of California and they'll go through. But when you go to withdraw those funds, if those funds are being withdrawn from an ATM in the Ukraine, that's going to raise a lot of red flags. So those criminals that were not in the United States had to rely on money mules stateside to withdraw those specific funds. And that is the 3 necessities of cybercrime.